Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs. Well, welcome. This is Jeff Heggie with the Jeff and Heidi Show. Heidi isn't with me today, but I'm excited to be here with Jase Bennett from Ohana Advanture, and the list goes on and on. We'll talk about all the different companies that he's involved in, but I'm excited. I wanted to have this interview with Jase for a long time. I can't even remember what year it was. I met Jase at a conference over at BYU Hawaii. And I don't think it was even till after we got home that I really started to find out all the connections we had, that my mother worked for his father, that I went to school with his cousins, and he's originally got a lot of Southern Alberta roots and was living there. And so it's been pretty cool to be able to stay in touch and see everything he's doing. So welcome, Jase. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, that was actually really funny. You're like, wait a second. What's your last name? I said Bennett. Where are you from? Well, Southern Alberta, Cardston, Lethbridge, Spring Coulee. You're like, wait a second. I think, anyways, it was really cool how we put all that together. It is a very, very small world, and I love how much smaller it's getting. It's so, with social media and everything, it's really cool how we can be connectors and be connected via all these different platforms. It's really cool.
It really is. And I mean, for those that some are listening, but some will be watching too. And even right now, I'm in Arizona and you're in Tahiti. So yeah, it's cool what we can do.
Yeah, I love it.
So your entrepreneurial journey has been incredible. So I want to start there, and we could go into detail on all of it, and we'll be here till tomorrow. But let's just let's start out with Jaseboards. My kids still, that's their main transportation around here in Arizona. We got our Jaseboards, and tell a little bit about that story, and then we'll kind of go from there.
That one was, I started reading Jim Rohn as a 21-year-old, and he said something that really changed me. It was, work full-time on paying your bills and part-time on building your fortune. And that might be paraphrased a little bit, but I started thinking about it. So I think as my parents, my siblings, and family that's close enough to know me, they think I'm all over the map. I'm all over the place, all these different harebrained ideas and businesses and this and that. But the way that my wife, luckily, and I both look at it is, oh, wait, this one led to that one led to that one led to that one. And so I had a video store in a small town on the North Shore of Hawaii and in Laie. And I had all these students who'd come in, and transportation is a big deal because everything rusts. If you have a bike, it lasts you a semester because the thing just rusts out and is worthless. If you have a car, it rusts out in 2 semesters and is worthless for the price range for buying in. And if they had skateboards, about the same amount of time, because the wood would rot and warp and the bearings rusted up. And I had this idea to make a board that could actually be waterproof with still being cool. And then found out there was a way to make bearings out of ceramic instead of steel. It was more expensive. And we made a board that was a waterproof deck. You could drive a van over it. And I tried to go at it at that angle and ended up getting them into Costco and in multiple countries around the world, South Korea. We're about to go up into Canada. We had a deal with Walmart. And then things in the skate industry and snowboarding actually at the same time. We were about to break into the snowboard market, and that's how I noticed the market was taking a major down. And we were fighting against it, trying to figure out what to do. Ended up with my, I'll go halfway here. I started marketing through YouTube and had a bunch of viral videos on YouTube for skateboards because I did stuff you're not supposed to do on skateboards. So that everyone would comment, what are they doing? They're ruining them. And that would give interaction. And the YouTube algorithm really likes interaction and movement and momentum. And so my videos started going viral all over the place. And then fast forward a couple of years, still doing YouTube, selling boards in Costco, other stores. And then my partner and I saw differently with the trajectory of the market and how things were going. And so he ended up with Jaseboards, and I ended up starting a fresh YouTube channel with my family, which is now 9 YouTube channels. And I ended up doing much better on YouTube than I ever would have with the skate company because of infrastructure and all the costs and all of that stuff. So it was another step. And my partner and I he wanted the company, wanted to do that. I really didn't see investing and putting all this extra effort, but it was because I was the guy with the boots on the ground. He had another thing he was doing also. I was fully vested and I was the one who could see it, and we just didn't agree with where things were going. So I ended up going full-time YouTube with my wife and kids.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And that has been an incredible story. Was it 2015? Is that when you started that full-time?
It was like Christmas 2015. We started uploading January 1st. Like,
okay.
Dropped videos, and my wife, it was a project. Ever since we had left Hawaii to go to Utah for Jaseboards, she felt like she wasn't contributing and doing anything. And she's a busybody like me. She needs to be actively engaged in something. And so I said, well, you could do this YouTube thing. She's like, well, I don't know. I said, okay, don't worry about it. And we kind of went back and forth. And finally, I think it was for her to prove to me that she could do it, but not only do it, crush it. And so she did a video every single day and didn't get a check for 9 months. And she kept a video every day. She was up till 2 a.m. editing. She was doing, it was crazy. And I thought, okay, it's a little intense. I've got my other company, Prouduct, that I'm building right now. She was building this, and we were kind of racing, but I was getting paid and she wasn't. And for a startup to start getting paid, Prouduct was doing amazing, still is. But then all of a sudden, she got her first check of $255 in 9 months in. But then her second check was over $500. Her next check was over $1,000. The next one was just under $2,000. So she was almost doubling every month for a little while there until it kind of tapered off, and that pop, started to level off a little bit. But she was making more than I was. And I thought, okay, I've got Prouduct where I know my position here. And that's the company with Richie Norton and TFN where we do the manufacturing. And then I put more of my entrepreneurial into her art. And then it started doubling again and again and again because I love psychology. And so we started going, okay, wait a second. If we gamify this a bit and put some big thing at the end, and we have cliffhangers every 3 to 5 minutes, and we can put ads right at each of those cliffhangers like they do in TV, and that we can make sure they keep their watch time up. YouTube loved us. And so our YouTube stuff really started pumping and going crazy to where we're, doing lots of crazy stuff.
Well, and I love how, it's turned into a family
Sorry,
thing.
I think I lost it for a second.
Sorry. I was just saying what I love is how it's turned into such a family thing. And, the kids have their channels. The kids are involved in everything. I was watching one of them the other day when Rachel had to have her surgery. And, while you were gone, the kids were the video. They were at home and it's them. And I just loved how involved they are. And, you go on to social media and they've got 50,000 plus followers and all those things. And it's really cool to see the experience these kids are going through and how it's been. I listened to you interviewing the Tanners and I thought it was interesting how you guys approached it versus them. You guys starting out as, we're approaching this as a business. You want to just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a lot of YouTube. Now there's a lot more people from our perspective or our point of view coming in. But before, YouTube was just a place for creators and artists and that type. And I saw the ability to create some type of an art that is whatever our family does, but purely from the entrepreneurial perspective. I saw, wait a second, if we make videos and keep people on there, we get paid ad revenue, it gets bigger enough, Disney will contact us to sponsor stuff, and Nike and Adidas and all these massive brands. Why would we not do this? We're a crazy family. There's enough of us to hit all the demographics because we have 6 kids. And so we had lots of family councils about this. I have actually proposed we shut it down at the very least 3 times. We've all sat down. I said, okay, we're shutting this down. This is my reasons. What do you guys think? And then they put their reasons. And of course I lose every time. But whenever it starts taking away from the family, because I see it as a business, I don't have the emotion. And so I'm willing to shut it down if it's taking away from our overall goal as being more together and having this create that for us. So if it starts causing drama, or videos are more important than our lifestyle, or because we used to do 17 videos a week and now we do, I think, 10. And so we're almost a half because that schedule was taking away from our lifestyle. And so we cut it back so that we could keep our sanity. Yes, the checks are much smaller, but that's okay because we can keep our lifestyle and keep our family relationship, which is much more important.
So 10 videos a week, how much videoing is that? How much editing is that? Like, what's all going into this? And who does it all?
So each of the kids, they have their own channels. We have at least 12 cameras in our house. We have our really nice cameras, our GoPro cameras, these little mini gimbal cameras, and they all have different purposes. And so the kids, like our oldest daughter, she's going to college soon. So she has, well, actually, let me back up. Once our video started doing well enough that it was paying the mortgage and a few other things in that second year, we hired editors overseas. And so we're vetting them and going through the process and training them to what we like. And once we got about I think we had 2 editors. And then my wife and I could go on dates again and we could sleep at night, right? Because she wasn't up till 2 a.m. editing. And so now we have 4 editors. And by the end of every day, everybody has their certain cameras and they go into the office and they drop their footage into Dropbox. And then we have a Google file, and my wife and I have a full course coming out about this because most people don't do it like this. To us, it's just how we process and how our process is. And so we have a Dropbox that goes in, and we have a Google file, and then a different code on the side means this editor is better at family game types. This one's better at vlog content. This one's better at like the challenges with cliffhangers and this and that. And this one's much better at just the beautiful B-roll, this kind of content. And so it depends whose video is what type. And then they drop it in there. And then we have a little schedule. They have to have it back by this time and this date. Anyways, then we all communicate via that at night. And the next morning, everything's ready. So we have family council. We have times that everyone goes to their computers and they review their footage. They do edit requests. Anyways, it's a crazy machine in the evening and in the mornings. In the daytime, we're pretty chill because we only film about 3 days of the week. The rest of the week is all of our other stuff that we do. No cameras.
Okay. Now, I mean, really, every kid right now wants to be a YouTuber, right? And they see guys like you and they're like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And they don't know how this all works.
It's like any other job or any other business, right? It's
right.
If you want to launch a product into the market, it has to be relevant. There have to be people that want to buy it. You have to market test. It's not just turn on a camera, face it towards your face and put it out there. Some people do go viral with that, but their channels never really last unless they start treating it like a business of some sort.
So what's the difference? I mean, there's different content out there. Like you mentioned a vlog, and you know, what are the different things you can look at?
I think that's what's cool. People try to put everybody in a bucket, right? They try to segregate everybody and figure, oh, you're this and you're this, and your challenge, your vlog. I hate that, and I always have. That's why I've never had a job. I never wanted to be put in that bucket of having a job. But I've never wanted to be the, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you start stuff, sell it, and move on. I think there's way more variations out there. And so my wife and I actually coined a little phrase. I think we are the only ones who still use it, but there's like people that do vlogs, people that do like families that do these challenges and games. And we call it, my wife and I keep on back and forthing. She calls it a vlalenge. She vlogs and does all that, but there's also challenges in there that make it fun for the people who are watching. I want to say it's a schlog because it sounds weird. So it's a schlog. It's a challenge and a vlog. Anyways, so we are kind of in between, and a lot of people advised against it. It's like, no, people either want vlogs or challenges. We're like, well, I don't know, or they only want vlogs, don't do music videos and any of that. So we jumped into music videos and have 100 million viewed music video and tons with 20 million, 30 million views on those too. And so we just kind of do our thing. We don't really abide by the whole system, but a lot of people, most of them will fit into like a vlog, right? It's just your day. But then that evolved. There we go. Whew, too much sun. That evolved into people, my day versus your day. Well, my kid cut his finger, yours didn't, so everyone's going to watch my video, not yours. So you're like, whoa, that video did terribly. Their cut finger video did well, so we're gonna pretend our kid cut his finger so we can get the views. So everyone was competing. So instead of whoever had the best day got the views, people started doing challenges, saying, well, we're going to create the best day. We're going to create either a skit or a challenge with something epic. And then that started the challenges and the games to get people going. And then after that, there was just pure skits. And so there's kind of all these different variations that are out there now. The people with the most evergreen content that'll do the best overall, they might not be the sexiest, but it's the people who have the how-tos. Still, the number one phrase searched on YouTube is how-to. That's our first video that did really, really well for our channel, was how to shave your legs as a teenager. My wife taught my daughter how to shave her legs. We kept it modest. She had shorts on, a shirt on. It wasn't like, you know, like some of the women are recreating now. They're like in the tub with bubbles strategically placed trying to shave. We don't do any of that. But how-tos really are the most evergreen. We'll have these how-to videos that get no views the first week, but we look back now and they have 5 million views. And we're like, so those are actually sustaining our channel. We didn't even know it because they're just quietly in the background, just churning and going and going and going. So if you're to do anything, how-tos is really, really good way to go.
Okay. Now, going back to listening to you and the Tanners talking, you were talking about when you both started and, you know, looking at them and saying, how are you starting to get all these subscribers? We're not getting these. And they're like, I don't know how we're getting them. What is the strategy to get subscribers? What do you have? I think I saw it. You're about 3.4 million subscribers. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So being real, whether it's a skit, have your avatar, be your persona, be relatable to whoever that audience do you think it is, process, and being real to them. The Tanners, without even knowing it, they were just being so real. What was actually wrong is they were making these long videos, getting really long watch time, and YouTube loved it. And so they kept putting their content out there. I was still going off of the algorithm 10 years or 5 years earlier that wanted short form content. The new algorithm wanted long form because you can put more ads in the longer the video is rolling. And so I hadn't adjusted for that. They unknowingly just naturally did that because, like, how do we put our family down into 2 minutes?
Right. And
I was like, well, how do you film an hour and a half or a 10-minute video? I just want 2-minute clips. I want to film in the morning and be done. Like, it didn't make sense. So we adjusted, we pivoted, we made some changes, and then we started cruising. It worked like clockwork.
Cool.
But the Tanners, they were much more the art of it and the feel good and the heart, and they still are. But what they did is they started a channel that does the challenges and the games and all of that, and that channel is crushing it. And then the people that want the heartfelt and the family dynamic more than just the games are going from this channel that's turning into a behemoth, and they're going over and finding their family channel, and now that channel is growing too. So there's always a way. It's awesome.
That's very cool. So, like I said, without keeping you here till tomorrow, let's talk about some of the other things. You talked about Prouduct. Tell a little bit about what that is. Talk about tiny homes, and just talk about some of those other things that you've got going.
Yeah. So if you go back to the Jim Rohn thing, when I was leaving Jaseboards, I had this skill to be able to source products, because every single product that goes into those skateboards, we sourced individually. Went to the factory that makes the ceramic, introduced them to the factory that makes bearings, and had them team up, because all the other companies were already way too overpriced. And so we created this whole new supply chain. And along the way, all these other companies kept on asking, hey, we make chicken coops. We sell 1,000 a month. Can you help us cut costs on chicken coops? Sure. So we started helping them out. Other people heard of it. Other people. So then Richie and I, 2015 Thanksgiving, we met up down in Arizona, and we had Thanksgiving dinner, and he and I went out to a movie that night and came up with the name because we wanted to help people make products they're proud of. And so we came up with Prouduct. And then because I was going to all these social media events and Richie was going to all these podcaster type events, we started referring people into our company. And I had my general manager from Jaseboards come in as an equal partner in Prouduct because he was a genius at supply chain, procurement, all of that. And so our little trio created this company called Prouduct, and we helped. I mean, I think our second client, we did a $453,000 Kickstarter with him for these journals that we produced. He made so much darn money and talked so well about us on his podcast that other podcasters came to us, and I started referring YouTubers. And now secretly, we are doing tens of millions of dollars a year in products for social media influencer types via podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, bloggers. We've had our products for these influencers go, or digital creators, I'll call them, go into Target, other ones that are about to go into Walmart, other ones going into Costco. And so we're creating these brands with people that already have audiences. And we're saying, well, Target is, all these other brands you're competing against are paying through the nose to gain an audience. You already have an audience. All you have to do is say, hey, these ones, I made it better and it's mine already. They already have the following and they're selling millions of dollars of product. And so that's kind of our bread and butter. We've helped some big Fortune 500 companies also, but really we're referral based. We don't advertise. We don't do any of that. It's all, we're kind of like the movie Hitch, right? If you know us, you know us. If you don't worry about it. We don't have the time. But so people listen on podcasts, we have them go to our website, fill out a survey, and then we'll either give them a course that can help them get to the level to where we can help them, or do it on their own, or we end up helping them. And so that's Prouduct. We do, my goodness, from everything from we're under NDA with Tesla to like spatulas and lipstick. I mean, who knows? It's a guy tried to tell me that we were jacks of all trade, and I said, no, we're not masters of, or a jack of all trades. We're masters of manufacturing. The process is the same, whether it's a thing of lipstick or it's a Tesla car part. The process is it's not very different. So that's Prouduct. And because of Prouduct, at a social media event, we met with a guy that who was making tiny homes, had shut down because it was too hard to keep up with demand. And so we took his process, put it into our process, and basically a tiny home. I mean, it's much more difficult, but it's not very different of a process than like a stick of lipstick. Find the factories, find the ingredients, build the process, connect all the dots, go to China way too many times. And now we have that process ready in China for certain types of homes. We have 2 factories in Alabama that are doing that. And then another one in New Mexico. Crank out tons and tons and tons of these awesomely different design tiny homes that we have contracts with. We didn't want to build the factories. We just got contracts with all of them so that we can make them at a very good price for our customers without them having to feel the pain of going through us.
Wow, that's cool. And I'll make sure to put some links in the notes and stuff because people need to see these. They've got some cool stuff. Okay, next question. I know you're an avid fisherman. I know you love fishing in Alaska.
Yeah.
Do you also have a reel company? A fly rod company? Okay.
Yes.
I've assumed that, but I didn't know that one for sure.
No, it's on the verge of being procured. And so I haven't done much with it for the last little while because we've been in and out of this sale process. And, but yes, started a fly fishing company with a friend of mine up in Heber. And it was the highest funded Kickstarter for fly fishing besides Tenkara rods, but those aren't real fly fishing. Those are like, I mean, it's basically an upgrade to those bamboo poles you can use for carp in Europe. But anyways, they're cool. They have their place. But And so we did this epic Kickstarter. We designed our own reels, our own rods. We had some patents going. And then some of these big companies wanted to pick us up. One wanted to merge, one wanted to pick us up. And so we've been going through that process for over a year. And I'm out here. Can I flip this camera on Zoom? It does. This is what I'm looking at. Really wanting to go fly fishing in a second here.
And everyone watching this is in snow probably.
Yeah. And so I'm about to go out on a stand-up paddleboard and go fly fishing out there. But yeah, it's stream outdoors. It's more of a passion lifestyle, super fun, low key. There's no debt. We started it on cash and Kickstarter, obviously. And we've literally just turned over the money every year. And there's enough online sales that it just keeps going. But I would like to actually really get it going because it can compete with the top fly fishing companies in the world. Our process, what we built it on was the warranty was no questions asked. Send us a picture and your name of which section of your rod broke, and we will get one in the mail to you. You don't have to send it back. You don't have to pay $150. Picture that it's broken and your name, and we have a system that tracks so we know you're not abusing it, and we just send you a new section to your rod. And we had a guy up in Alaska, broke his rod. It cost a bunch. We overnighted in that section of his rod. By the end of the next day, his next section was to him, and the next morning he was back on the river with his rod again. So we try to, within reason, keep people going without that lame process of 6 months of your section sitting in the warehouse at Sage or at Echo or at any of those TFO, and then them saying, okay, we'll send you a new piece. It's like, you could have done that probably a little bit quicker. So anyways, but yes, that's Stream Outdoors. That's a passion one. That's my baby, but I just haven't put the time or effort into it because for me, being entrepreneurial, if it's not bringing the return, it doesn't get my time. And so it gets my time when I'm fishing and I post a whole bunch and there's tons of videos and the YouTube channel is awesome. And when I'm not fishing, not much happens to it because we haven't really brought in a team to run it yet.
So, okay, let's continue on that. Your passion. We were just briefly talking before this. Cars. Tell us about that as well.
I have been obsessed with cars since I was this big. Right, you know it. Spring Coulee, Southern Alberta. they're running sprinkler lines, and so you put a brick on the pedal and have the 10-year-old push it just lightly enough so that they can bale the hay and get two people back there and me standing on that. So I've been that's those old 72 Chevys and my uncles and cousins. I was a teeny little kid when they ripped apart a VW Bug and turned it into a dune buggy. And then I might have put a little gun turret on it so I could have my 22 and shoot gophers, right? And so right now in Hawaii, we didn't have any money. And so I'd go down to the Kidney Foundation, and there was a new law that had been written that they couldn't sell the cars and couldn't do this. So they were in this weird limbo. So I brought 5 BYUH students with me once a week, sometimes twice a week. And I'd pay them $20, which to them was awesome. We'd drive into Honolulu. I'd pick up 4 Honda Civics that were 89 to 91s, bring them back up to the North Shore, redo the fluids, drop a radiator in if I had to, small things, change the brakes, whatever small things needed to be done. And then I'd pick them up for $50 a piece. So I was $70 into each car, and I'd sell them for $200 to $500. The students are getting an epic deal, $500, $200 for a Civic. They'd spend $3, $4, $5 on the mainland. And so I did 200 cars a year for 2 years until we had enough money. And our business did well enough that I didn't need to be a used car dealer anymore. But because of that, I've always loved cars. I'm pretty good with cars. So right now I just finished a 67 Mustang that I redid everybody's been dying. I've been teasing on Insta stories. And the new upholstery inside is all done, new dash, new instruments. It looks like a race car now, and it looked like an amoeba in the beginning. And so I'll sell that. And then I think my wife just gave me the go-ahead to buy one of these It's these 4-door Land Rover Defender 110s, the big, like, you know, safari ones with the snorkel. And so I found one of those. They're these really old, like, turbo diesel 1983 89s, and you have to import them from London or Australia. But I think I just found one this morning at 1 a.m. because I sleep a lot. I don't sleep a lot. And so I'm going to sell the Mustang, and that money goes into the Range Rover because I'm trying to build up. I bought my wife a Tesla last year, a Tesla Model X. It was a 6-figure vehicle, but I did that off of $50 in Hawaii. I spent $50 on this old Civic, and I kept that money aside until I could turn that $50 into a dream car. And so that ended up buying the Tesla, that fund that I was slinging cars and investing with. And so I want a Shelby Cobra, 65 Shelby Cobra, but my wife won't let me spend the money on it. She said, you can do your whole car build-up thing again. So for 10 grand, I bought this Mustang. It'll sell for 40. Then I'm going to take 30 some out of that 40 plus the profit, the excess, and I'm going to fix up this Range Rover, and it'll sell in the hundreds. I'm getting it in the low 30s. It'll sell in the low 100s, and then I can buy the Cobra. And that'll end up being probably 15 grand total investment. Lots of time, but it's a hobby, it's a passion, so it's time well spent.
That is very cool. I didn't know that about the Tesla. Actually, my next question was going to be Tesla or Raptor, which is better?
Well, Ford, here, the waves are getting big. Let me come in here for a second. Ford they sent me a message a little bit ago about a electric Raptor, and that's why they discontinued. And so they said, just keep driving your truck and making videos, and we'll let you know when we want to film something with you. And I went, so for the sake of that, I have to say Raptor. No, my truck is my baby. And I've tried to challenge a lot of people that when they get their Cybertruck, and they all said, yeah, in the beginning. And now they're all backing down because they know I'm really crazy. My Raptor is not what they call a mall crawler, or it's not a pavement princess. I've had Ford have to put my bumpers back on twice because I've jumped it and done all sorts of So yeah. I'm my poor parents. I'm a little bit more insane than they would like, but I'm a lot like my mother. So people just don't get to see that side of her.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you. I've really enjoyed talking to you. It's
been fun.
And I've learned a lot. I appreciate that. So thanks for sharing that all with us. Share, obviously YouTube and everything, where names and, where do people find you guys?
The main family one is the Ohana Adventure. If you type Ohana on the internet, we're almost good enough that it pulls us up first, not Lilo and Stitch. At least on YouTube and Instagram, we come up first. On Google, they still like the little blue guy, but that's about to go crazy because I think they're doing a live action Lilo and Stitch now. Okay. They're working on that. Maybe that'll help us. I don't know. We better trademark Ohana Means Family now. But the Ohana Adventure, anything about me, it's jasebennett.com, just JASEBENNETT.com, and that sends you to everything.
Perfect. And that'll link you to the Decode podcast as well. That's on jasebennett.com.
Yeah. I now have 6 episodes ready for season 2. So I'm actually, my website got hacked. Everything went crazy. They pulled the Decode off of iTunes for a little bit. And so now I finally, after a couple months, got that all back up and running. It's all back up there. And now season 2, I'm really excited. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. I have some really cool, different style entrepreneurs that I interview to figure out how they got where they got. And so I try to deconstruct their success and figure out, it wasn't just you woke up early. You actually went to tons of conferences and made the right connections. And then anyway, so I try to figure out what actually made that happen instead of just the normal story everybody tells. People get a little annoyed with me because I really dig in questions sometimes. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. It's so fun. Love it.
That's cool. Very cool. And you actually mentioned it. One of my favorite things I read about you one time. I can't remember where I saw it, but it's like, I've never had a job and I never will.
Never will. No way.
I love it.
I can't even imagine. My friends dared me or bet me when we were 16 that I'd have to get a job sometime before I was 35. And they still all owe me that money because I still have never clocked in at somebody else's place of work.
Well, awesome. I appreciate your time and enjoy your time over there with your family. And thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It was great talking.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.